Okay, so lately everybody on the internet seems to be losing their shizzle over this girl. Has a channel called Just Pearly Things and a podcast called Pre-Game. I think it's called Pre-Game. Anyway, this girl, whose name is Pearl, I believe, Just Pearly Things. Do your research, Danny! No! Why don't you do it? I don't have a team of writers looking things up for me and stuff. I'm not James Corden. If you're coming to this channel hoping for some tightly scripted monologues about mainstream celebrities, read off an autocue by a fat, depressed despot, well, this ain't it, chief. If, however, what you are looking for is a nuanced, balanced debate, a one-man debate like a one-man band dancing alone in his house in front of the camera like a fucking lunatic, well, today's your lucky day. Today, I'm going to be debating what is more cringe? Male feminists, by which I mean male allies. You know, the ones that pretend to be feminists to get closer to the females, much like a male cuttlefish. You know what male cuttlefish do? Don't mind me, I'm a female cuttlefish, and then before you know it, they're under you and they're fucking you. Weird, bit rapey, disgusting cuttlefish. You make me sick. But what's worse, those male feminists, those creepy little cuddly fish males, or female misogynists, by which I mean this new breed of internet thoughts. Shouldn't say that, that's quite misogynistic. This new breed of content creator, female content creator, basically says, yeah, women are the worst, they've got it easy. Men, they're risking their lives, putting down power lines in Alberta. Just like every debate in today's society, we've been forced into this false dichotomy. Yes, that's right, I said false dichotomy. So intellectual. You're pseudo-intellectual. But we do tend to think everything's just either or nowadays. This one-man band is here to tell you that no! Nuance, balance. New balance?
Did you know that if you look at the divorce rate and the rate of women on birth control, they're like the same?
Is there like a correlation, or it just happens to be the same?
Do you mean like women on birth control are getting more divorces? Because if you look at it from a history perspective, the Divorce Reform Act came in 1969, which is when you could basically get a divorce for no reason, and birth control became freely available in 1974.
Show you. Hold on.
So those two things would obviously correlate.
Yeah, so this is the thing that bothers me about Pearly Things. Mrs. Pearly Things, I believe is her name, after some my research team found out for me. But basically, yeah, so the suggestion is there from what she's saying, birth control bad because divorce, right? And then the person she has on her podcast there, who she didn't expect to know anything, just sort of said, well, yeah, but the Divorce Reform Act came in at the end of the 60s, and then in the mid-70s, birth control became publicly available. So, yeah, obviously, historically, they're going to correlate. There's going to be more people getting divorced after it becomes easier to get divorced, and there's going to be more people on birth control after it exists, right? So...
But that doesn't mean that there's a correlation. It just means that those things happen at the same time.
You could argue that. I think that, you know, I asked my grandma. My grandma is very sick. So I've been asking her like life questions lately. And I asked her because she was, you know, around in the 70s when, you know, people started getting divorced a lot. Like, you're right, no-fault divorce was implemented. And I asked her like why she thought that women, like why the divorce, like what changed in relationships. My grandma said birth control.
That's it. Debate over. Her grandma says so. I'm not saying her grandma's wrong, right? I'm sure that birth control changed relationships for better or for worse between men and women. Of course it did. I guess thinking about it, going back to a time when birth control and divorce weren't really options, you had to be more picky about the person you chose to spend your life with. Did that mean that society was happier? Maybe. I don't know. Were women and men happier back then? Possibly. But how many people want to go back to a time when we don't have those freedoms? Like, what's the suggestion that you take away what we've had for the last 50 years? Life is probably more complicated now. We've got choice paralysis, so many things you can do. A lot of us don't have a clear path through life the way our grandparents did. Perhaps it's more difficult for people of my generation to feel satisfied, know what the right choices are. I understand all that, but I think we're just going to have to figure it out. You can't illegalise divorce and birth control now. I don't think anyone wants that, really. They might say they do, but do they?
Common women do divorce men.
Having
That's what
children is
I've
hard.
interviewed a divorce attorney, and that's what they say. They said they'll get the 2 kids and then stop sleeping with the husband and then divorce him.
Yeah, because if he's not pulling his weight and they're doing all the work with the kids, they wouldn't be attracted
What
to
do you?
him.
I sense
There's
like a little
so
bit of
many
an
factors.
anger towards men from you.
Do
a
you
little
think?
bit. A little bit.
No,
yeah.
I love
'Cause
men.
It doesn't sound like it based on how you're talking.
What? You literally just said, I spoke to a divorce lawyer who said women get the 2 kids, then stop sleeping with their husband. So you're saying all women are basically just manipulating men to get kids, and then when they've done with them, they stop sleeping with them and they divorce them. Your guest chimes in saying, well, yeah, if he's not pulling his weight or something, like suggesting a reason why she might not find her husband attractive anymore because he's not helping with stuff, and she's suddenly got 2 kids and she's doing everything and the man's not doing anything. As though that's a situation that hasn't happened to millions of women all over the world. I'm sounding like a feminist now, but it's fucking true. Like, what are you talking about? You haven't seen that. You haven't seen lazy men. They exist. You haven't seen women working a job with 2 kids and a man who just comes home and does fuck all. You haven't seen that. And she's just suggesting, she's not saying all men do that, whereas you literally just said, women, yeah, that is what happens. I've spoken to divorce attorneys. That is what happens. Women do just get the 2 kids there and they're just done with the man and they get divorced. There's way more of a generalisation from you than from the nice young English lady. And by the way, the passive aggressive, it sounds like you don't like men. It sounds like there's a lot of anger coming from you towards men. What about your anger towards women? I spoke to a divorce attorney and women basically just get 2 kids and then they divorce the man. Well, if the guy's not pulling his weight. Why do you hate men? What the fuck?
No, I think
Because you're like, he's not pulling his weight. Why doesn't he just fight for his kids? Like, you always kind of automatically take the woman's side.
I think that's
You
just
can you can take down that chart. They see it.
I would argue that right now that's just the room I'm in that I feel the need to pull that. But in general, like, no, I love men, and like the men I know in the circles I'm in are
What is
wonderful.
marriage to you?
Yes, I hate her. I hate her. I guess making a really valid, coherent point, and she's there pretending to listen. What is marriage to you? Let's find out what marriage is to Pearly Things, because it's another hot take.
What is
Wonderful.
marriage to you?
well, when I get married, that would be like I want to get married and then I want to have my babies, and
Okay.
that's
What's the point of marriage?
for me, it would just be making us one unit, and that to me is like my forever. And we are now financially connected. We're everything connected. We're going to have each other's children, and we're going to spend our lives together. That's,
Okay, so you do believe like when you get married, it's forever.
yeah,
Okay, and
in an ideal world. Yeah.
Okay, and so do you believe that it's in sickness and in health, for richer or for poorer, for better or for worse?
Yes.
Okay, so then not when the man isn't pulling his weight.
It's such a ridiculously weak ass point. What? You don't think that sometimes you're in a relationship and after marriage and after having kids, you see a side to that person that you didn't expect? We're living in 2023. We don't have to put up with it like we did in 1923. I fucking understand that maybe society was better in 1923, but there are certain things that are better now. And I think one of them is you don't have to put up with someone's bullshit if you don't want to. I'm not saying divorce is the best thing. I know there are a lot of frivolous people out there that get divorced because they're not having everything their own way all the time and they're narcissistic and they think that the other person has to do exactly what they want all the time. They have to be satisfied. Obviously, you have to work on a relationship. I understand all of that shit. What she's saying is, oh, the man's not pulling the weight, so you get divorced. Well, no, I think a lot of people get divorced when someone isn't pulling their weight for 7 or 8 years. Imagine the whole time you're bringing up kids and you've just got some fucking lazy ass person who doesn't want to do anything. Just don't help in any way in the house. You're doing twice or 3 times as much work as them and they're contributing nothing. That happens. And I think the point that your guest is making there is just when that happens, well, maybe women are just like, I've had enough of this. And I don't think that that is the worst thing in the world. I think you should have that right. No? Surely? I mean, what's the suggestion that you shouldn't have that right? That's the thing I'm getting at. What are you saying, Pearl? That you shouldn't be able to divorce someone because they're just turning into a piece of shit as they get older? Right? I think, sorry, call me a crazy feminist. It wouldn't be the first time. But nah, shut up, grifter.
What I was saying, though, is that, like, she might not want to sleep with him. That doesn't mean she doesn't love him and she wouldn't stay with him, but she may stop having sex with him if he's not.
So she uses sex as a way to control him if he's not doing what
she might not be
wants.
attracted to him.
Oh man, this is just as embarrassing as watching like a social justice warrior lefty lunatic. Right? It's exactly the same. You know what she's going to say. What do you mean? She didn't say use sex as a weapon. She's not saying that at all. She's saying that a woman might not be attracted to a man if after a few years in a relationship, bringing up 2 kids, he's just sitting on the fucking sofa, playing on the PlayStation, doing shit all. Right? I'm not saying, and nor is your guess, that men are like that in general, but there are some men who are. Yeah, I'm sure there are some women who use sex as a weapon. They manipulate men. Yeah, of course there are. But we're talking about a hypothetical, not a wild, wacky hypothetical, one that really exists, where men just become less attractive in the eyes of their wives because fuck, this guy does nothing. I'm doing everything. Why would I be attracted to him? I don't need him. All these men, all these alpha males talking about, oh, I'm a breadwinner, I'm going out and I'm hunting the mammoth. Fucking get out there and hunt it. You're hunting the mammoth on fucking Grand Theft Auto. Yeah.
Why is she not attracted to him?
Because nobody's attracted to somebody who doesn't, like, help them and, like...
Do you believe in duty?
What do you mean by that?
Like, do you believe you have duties in a marriage? Or do you believe you should just do what you want, what makes you happy?
Yes, but are you implying that sex is a duty?
I am. Do you believe that sex is a duty?
That is a wild take. Sex is a duty. So, like, if you don't want it, you should just be forced to do it. You don't find your husband attractive, but you still have to, you know, of course you do. That's your duty. That is not what she really thinks. It's a rhetoric. She's possessed. She's fucking possessed. She's like these lefty lunatics possessed with identity politics. Some sort of narrative that's in her head. She's not a wife. She's not married. What the hell's she talking about? As if she'd ever... What self-respecting person would allow themselves to get railed because it's my duty? I'm a good wife. Think of the Queen. That's insane. That is actually insane. And she doesn't really think it. And she's a grifter. I'm sorry.
Outside of medical issues, we're just talking normal. Why would you not want to sleep with your husband?
I think that attraction can ebb and flow, especially when you're very stressed.
Or if you want to sleep with someone else.
Yeah, it's hard for me to speak on because I've not been in that situation myself. So I can only speak on, like, based on my friend's experience.
Is Pearly Whirly, is she a little girl? Why are they having to explain that attraction can ebb and flow and that stress and certain situations in your life can mean that you're not having as much sex as you were? How are they having to explain this to her? There is no way. I think she's convinced herself that she believes these things, but there is no way in her soul. This is like a persona. It's an outward persona that she's seen will get her a level of success with her podcast and people reacting to the crazy shit she says. How can you not understand? She's like 26. You don't understand that people stop finding people attractive based on their flawed personalities. You're with someone for years. It starts off, it's just an easygoing relationship, you know, whatever. All you do is meet up and sleep together, and that's it. You go out for drinks and meals and stuff, and then suddenly you've got loads of responsibilities, and one of them just completely doesn't give a shit. Just leave all the work for the other person. You don't understand. She's not unintelligent. She could understand it if she wanted to, but this persona she's constructed won't allow her to understand what her guests are saying. You don't think sex is a duty? Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, you drifter.
Do you think that men get married thinking their wives will stop sleeping with them?
Pearly Whirly, we're going to have a falling out. We really are. So, do you think men get married thinking that their wives are going to stop sleeping with them? Do you think women get married thinking that their husbands are going to be shit parents and do nothing and just leave all of the housework and all of the bringing up of the kids and school activities and homework and shit for their wives? Do you think that women get married expecting that? No, but sometimes that's what happens.
I think women get married wanting to have sex, though. I don't think anyone wants to not have sex with their partner.
But whose choice is it typically to not have sex, the men or the women?
The woman.
Okay, so it's the women not sleeping with the men.
Often, I would say, yeah, that's...
Okay, and you'd agree... Would you agree that that's unfair to men?
No, I don't think you're entitled to somebody's body.
I would love to see Pearly Whirly in a relationship, with 2 kids running about. She's just married some guy who can't be asked to contribute anything, sitting around playing on the PlayStation, doing nothing in the house. She's doing all the work. Let's say her podcast is still going splendidly in a few years' time, and this is the scenario she's in. If she'd just be like, oh yeah, sex, when do you want it? It's my duty. Lie back and think of England, Pearly Whirly. There's no way. She wouldn't do that. Unless she has absolutely no self-respect at all. Okay.
But so you don't think sex is a duty from wives to husbands?
Not a duty, no. Terrible feeling.
Do you think that sometimes in marriage you're going to have to do things you don't want to do?
I think
family.
Sex is a very unpleasant thing to do if you don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, hot take there, you crazy feminist. Sex is a horrible thing if you don't want to do it. How is it that anyone is having to explain that to Pearl? For women especially, having to have sex when you don't want to, not the best experience in the world. God, I'm so woke. You hear that, women? Male ally right here. Sorry, ladies, he's taken. This little cuttlefish has already tricked his way into matrimony.
You can just,
I think
just lay there. What are you really doing? You just lay.
Why would you?
I wonder if that argument would hold up in a court of law. Your Honour, my client stands here accused of heinous crimes. Prosecution claims their victim went through an ordeal. But what did she really do? Let's look at the cold, hard facts, Your Honour. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, she was just laying there. What did she really do? Come on, you lunatic feminists. Anyway, that's about all I can take of this subject. And let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think it's good that women can get divorced now, and that we have birth control? Do you think that men should be able to sit around playing GTA, and then women, it's just your duty, isn't it, really? What do you think? I don't know. I have no idea. I do know. I've expressed it for the last 16 minutes. I know, right? I'm a good little cuttlefish.
You can just, lay there. What are you really doing?